Welcome to Chapter 10, your ultimate guide to mastering Class 6 chapters in just a few minutes. This is Chapter 4, Exploring Magnets, from your Class 6 Curiosity textbook. Have you ever seen a magic trick where things just stick together? Have you ever wondered why those cool stickers stay on your refrigerator? Or how a crane at a scrapyard lifts massive chunks of metal? Well, it's not magic, it's science. The hero of our story today is the incredible force called magnetism. And in this video, we are going to unlock its secrets together. Let's start with a story. A very long time ago, there was a shepherd named Magnes in a place called Magnesia, which is in modern-day Greece. Legend says while he was tending his sheep, his iron-tipped staff and the nails in his shoes suddenly got stuck to a rock. Imagine his surprise. That rock, my friends, was a special kind of natural magnet called lodestone, and it was named Magnet after the shepherd or the place where it was discovered. Now, your curiosity textbook tells us something fascinating. Magnets aren't just toys. Did you know that your very own heart generates a magnetic field? It's incredibly weak, but it's there. This field helps doctors study the heart using advanced tools. And guess what? Our planet Earth is like a giant magnet itself. It's this massive magnetic field that guides migrating birds and protects us. We live on a giant floating magnet. Isn't that wild? Okay, time for some hands-on discovery. Let's find out what magnets love and what they ignore. This is a crucial concept in Chapter 4. If you have a magnet, you can try this at home. Get a pile of everyday items. We have an iron nail, a brass key, a paper clip, a rubber band, a pencil, a coin, some aluminum foil, and a plastic spoon. What do you think will happen when we bring our magnet close? Will everything stick? Let's predict! Wow, look at that. The magnet is super picky. The iron nail and the steel paper clip were pulled immediately. They are magnetically attracted. But the rubber band, it didn't move. The pencil, the plastic spoon, the aluminum foil, even the coin and the brass key, the magnet didn't care about them at all. This means they are not attracted. So based on this observation, scientists classify materials into two groups. Materials that are strongly attracted to a magnet are called magnetic materials. These are substances like iron, nickel, and cobalt. Think nails, steel pins, and many tools. Materials that are not attracted to a magnet are called non-magnetic materials. These are materials like rubber, plastic, wood, glass, cloth, and even metals like aluminum and gold. Now let's look closer at our magnet. We can see its power, but where is it strongest? If we sprinkle some iron filings around a bar magnet, look what happens. They don't spread out evenly. They all crowd around the ends. This shows us that the attractive power of a magnet is concentrated at its two ends. These ends are called poles. Every magnet has two poles, always. They are called the North Pole and the South Pole. Here is an important curiosity textbook tip. Scientists use the colors red, often for north, and blue, often for south, to make it easy to remember. These poles have another fascinating property. If you break a magnet in half, you don't get a separate North Pole and South Pole. Each new piece automatically becomes a complete magnet with its own North and South Pole. You can never separate them. Okay, this is one of the most important laws of magnetism. What happens when poles meet? Imagine we have two bar magnets. If we try to bring the North Pole of one towards the North Pole of the other, whoa! You feel a force pushing them apart, right? The same thing happens if you try to push two South Poles together. They refuse to touch. Now let's switch it up. What if we bring the North Pole of one magnet towards the South Pole of the other? Snap! They instantly pull together and stick tightly. This fundamental law states, like poles repel each other and unlike poles attract each other. It's like magnets have their own rules of attraction. This attraction and repulsion isn't just a cool trick, it's incredibly useful. If a magnet is free to rotate, like if it's floating in water or balanced on a pin, something remarkable happens. The magnet's poles will align themselves with the Earth's own magnetic poles. One end will always point towards the north and the other towards the south. This property is why we have the magnetic compass. This simple, ancient device is used by hikers, sailors, and pilots to find their direction. But what if you don't have a magnet, but you really need one for a science project? Good news, your Curiosity textbook explains how you can make your own. This is a fun activity called magnetization by rubbing. Start with a simple steel sewing needle, which is a magnetic material. Take a strong bar magnet. Now here's the trick. Rub the same pole of the magnet along the entire length of the needle in one single direction. Lift the magnet completely after each stroke. Do this about 30 or 40 times. Once you've rubbed it enough, your ordinary needle has been magnetized. Test it by bringing it near some tiny paper clips. Look, the needle is acting just like a magnet. It's picking them up. The rubbing action has aligned all the tiny magnetic parts inside the steel needle to face the same way, turning it into a temporary magnet. So now that we know how to make magnets and use them, it's really important to learn how to keep them strong. Just like any tool, magnets can be damaged if they aren't handled properly. Here is the do not do list from your Curiosity textbook. 1. Do not drop them. Dropping magnets frequently, especially on a hard floor, can jumble up their internal magnetic parts. 2. Do not heat them. Exposing a magnet to high temperatures like fire can destroy its magnetic properties completely. 3. Do not hit them. Striking a magnet with a hammer can also demagnetize it. So how do we store them? When you're not using bar magnets, you should store them in pairs. Critically, their unlike poles should be on the same side. This keeps them balanced. To further protect them, always place a soft iron bar, also called a keeper, across the ends of the magnets. This loops the magnetic force, keeping it strong and preventing the poles from getting weaker over time. Now let's step back and think about where we see magnets in our daily lives. Magnets are essential components in thousands of modern inventions. They are used in the small magnetic latches on cabinet doors and refrigerator seals, the speakers in your headphones, phone and TV, the stripe on the back of credit cards and debit cards to store information, powerful electromagnets used in recycling centers to separate metals. These trains don't have wheels. They use powerful magnets to float above the tracks, which eliminates friction and allows them to travel at incredible speeds. So, we've explored what magnets are, how to find magnetic materials, where the poles are, how they attract and repel, how to make one, how to take care of it, and all the cool ways we use them. We've just mastered the key concepts of Chapter 4, Exploring Magnets, in the Class 6 Curiosity textbook. Now you are a true magnet expert, ready for your science class. Before we go, I have a curiosity challenge for you, based on what we learned about maglev trains. Do you think magnets are used to make a train float? Do they use attractive forces or do they use repulsive forces? And how do they make the train move forward? Give it some thought and share your theory in the comments below. I can't wait to read your wise person answers. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. This video is part of our comprehensive Class 6 Science Curiosity playlist, so make sure to check out the full series for more exciting lessons. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Chapter in 10 for more exciting lessons. See you next time!